2, 3. Turn it up.
Still playing. Do you all recall the Emotiva 5s? I bought the Emotiva 5s. I loved them. Put them in my living room. Loved them so much there that I'm like, I gotta know if the Emotiva 6s can do better. And let's see, let's go back to the list. There's the 4s, which I've only heard in passing. The 5s I own. The 6s I own. And these are the Stealth 8s. Back up a little bit so you can grasp their grandeur. I'm assuming this video is coming out after the Yamaha HS8 review, which if you haven't seen that, pause this and go watch that, because I'm going to be referencing those a lot in the review of these. Price for the Emotiva 5s, $500 a pair. Price for the Emotiva 6s, $700 a pair. Price for the Stealth 8s, $900 each. And that is quite a departure considering we're going 400, 500, 700, 900. Oh, by the way, that's each. The 6s are 700 for the pair. So what makes these worth so much incredibly more? They're 41 pounds each. For you Euro people, that's 19 kilograms each. We're gonna have to pull one down and look at it. And yes, it's upside down on my stand because I wanted the center imaging to be here, and it was here. No matter how low I sat or high I sat, just flip them upside down, it's fine. And now it's here. Now Leonard Skinner is literally here. And I'm going to reference the Yamaha HS8 review because I said I had them in this room. The Yamaha HS8s were in this room on these stands playing through, well, different preamp than that, but they were playing. And it was like, ooh, God, these have so much more potential to get a lot. And I brought them in the living room and loved them there. These speakers started out life in the living room. I said, oh my God, because I bought the Stealth 6s to put in my living room. They are my chosen, loud, kick-ass home theater speakers. The ohms have taken over because music is just on him. But that's why the Emotiva 6s were purchased. Now these are not Emotiva, these are the Stealth line, which way back in, 2012 or something, that's when Emotiva had a split between, there was the Air series and the Stealth series. I don't care. These started life out in the living room for me. I hooked them up, I twisted them, I adjust things, and I hooked them up. I didn't think they were better than the 6s out there in the big room. That didn't make any sense to me because I'm like, these have got to be better. They've got to be better out there. They've got the tweeter in this speaker, just this tweeter here, has a 200 watt amplifier. That 8-inch has a 200 watt amplifier. That 8-inch has a 200 watt amp, and that has this is 400 watts per speaker. Sitting here in front of me is 800 watts. 800 watts. And Emotiva is an amplifier company first. So when they say it's got 800 watts, it does. It has a severe amount of power back there. And I tweaked it in my living room, and I was watching movies, and it got loud. But it didn't sound right having them be 9.5, 10 feet apart. And I was, 12 feet back. And so I'm like, all right, well, these are studio monitors, and these are their premier studio monitors. And if you don't know what a studio monitor is, well, pretend that I actually do work at this desk and not just bitch and babble about things. And that I'm mixing the newest, greatest hit from Leonard Skinner, who obviously I've built from a genetic profile, and I've got him cloned and locked in a basement somewhere. And what you do on a studio monitor is you are the final listen before an artist or a producer will sign off and say, this is how this music should sound. Press it onto CD, pop it onto iTunes, get it on the vinyl. This is it. And I know that now. The 5s and 6s are great, and they're great affordable monitors. I know $700 for the 6s is a little bit higher than when I bought them, but You could sit in front of them and you can go, wow, this is really neutral and flat, and this is, you know, good. This is the first time I've experienced what I can only consider as what, you know, when we'll get to don't say Genelex in the comments, because I've yet to have a pair like close enough to me. But I'm going to go right now as saying, me personally, this is the best I've heard for a final print check on a set of speakers. Just pick a song. Any song. Well, pick a song that I'm going to actually put up. Hold on. I keep coming back to Leonard Skinner. I hate you. No, I don't hate Leonard Skinner. I just... my shuffle is just broken, I think. Here. Lord. Lord. The last time $1 Million Bills was heard in a studio before it went, okay, checkbox this and put it out, I hope it sounded like this does. Because these speakers, and we're going to pause that for a second, and I'm going to unplug when I'm plopping on the desk. And plop will be the optimum word here. These speakers are, I want to say the word engaging, but it's not that. Revealing. 41 pounds. 41 pounds. That's nearly as much as the turkeys I make every year. I need to wipe that. I have silicone spray on my hands. It's probably not good for the finish. I respect these speakers and what they are producing. If you're here and you're looking for just kick-ass bass, you got some money to spend on some speakers, the Yamaha HS8s are really solid. I didn't like them in this room. They were too much. And yet somehow these speakers, which are insanely more speaker by the numbers, don't work well out there. They want to live here on the desk. They want to show you what the music is supposed to sound like. Giant air motion tweeter, 8-inch driver, more curves than a stealth bomber. I believe this is just wood with a finish on it. Little interesting note, this is not a square. It's actually narrower up front than it is in the back. And I believe that's for, they don't mention that in any of the documentation, but I believe that's to control sound waves when they bounce. Because it could have just been a square box, and that would have nothing to talk about, but it is legitimately wider in the back. And look at this port. Looks like a paper shredder. It actually has to have, it's such a big wide port that it actually has a support in the middle there, I could see. So, back of this unit, I'm going to try to drop it on my keyboard because that'll be a time for a new keyboard, Rocat. Here's your input, and it has, well, it's an XLR with a 1/4 inch, then you can get a 1/4 inch adapter to go RCA. So you can basically hook it up like anything else. It actually shows you ground input, positive, negative. Here's your exposed sensitivity adjustment. Oh, you're going to need one of these, by the way. If you buy a set of these, you'll need one of these. Sensitivity adjustment, 0, -6, +6. Now I have it set to 0. And if you have a low signal source like I had in my living room, you'd want to crank that up to 6. However, and I don't understand this because it is a thing, I figured since it says 0 here and I would turn left to go to +6. It is not, it's backwards. So that's just an Emotiva thing, and it was confusing the crap out of me. Because you go and you see 0, +2, +4, +6, I'll turn it to the left. But turning it to the left is turning a volume control down, and it's backwards on this. So I don't know how it's supposed to work. Look at these selections. Down here you got power on off. Okay, switch between 115 and 220, that's fine. Serial numbers, fine. This is where it gets interesting. Because these 3 banks of dip switches shut that one off. These 3 banks of dip switches are to control bass roll-off, bass tilt, and treble tilt. Now, you know what roll-off is, right? It's showing you a graph here, and I'm sure you can get a much more detailed one in the manual, where you could actually have it just cut the low end. In how many positions? 4 positions. So you throw 1 switch at a time. You either can shut off 2 decibels of the bass, 4 decibels, 6 decibels, or 8 decibels. Pick a switch, and that'll cut it off. It'll roll it off earlier and earlier and earlier. And that would be if you have a real boomy room, which this is not. This room actually loses a lot of bass. But we could fix that too, because you've got bass tilt, which will just curve it off from 600 hertz. I don't know where if it actually starts at 600, but 600 to 20, and it shows you 4 options again: -2, -4, -6, and mute. You can actually mute, and this is for the bass tilt and treble tilt, either one of these drivers. You could just flip a switch, and that one is no longer producing sound, so you could tune this, and you could flip that one back on and shut that one off and tune that. So it's got all the options. Again, here we go again with the treble tilt, -2, -1, +1, which on my living room I put it to +1, and it was like, ooh, sharp. Taste it. Is that a hole there? I want to stick my screwdriver in the hole. I don't. No. Okay. No. Only 1 switch may be engaged per section at a time. So you could adjust these speakers with room correction pretty solidly. I would almost still say looking into a mini DSP or something if you want to really just twist the sound coming out of it. But from what I've experienced here, just running straight out of the JDS Labs LDAC. No, that LDAC is Element DAC. That's the old DAC. Good old DAC. What is that little one that's feeding through the Emotiva Bass X into the Audio God Amp 11. They have a terrible naming convention on this as well. Feeding the Stealth 8. 300 watts it claims it uses, which is 100 watts less than it actually has. I'm putting it back up now. You got to make these noises or it won't work. Positioning. Let's talk about positioning. No, not the one I got your mom in last night. Oh! These like to be in a very certain position, and I'll tell you my methodology. The speaker stands are measured to where they are on the floor. They're perfect. They align to this desk. Sort of know where the middle is there because I need to fit the monitor. So that is, now I'm looking at the edge with my left eye and right eye, and I'm trying to see how wide the edge looks, and that's way too wide, so I got to twist it. Then I sit back in the middle. You could judge the middle, and you sort of like with looking straight ahead, you just turn your eye. How much width am I seeing? A little more. And then I'll do this thing where and this is super scientific, so make sure you write this down. You sort of just close your eyes and reach forward and try to touch the speaker, and that was pretty much. Yeah, they feel about the same distance. You want to really test how to center them, you could switch your player or whatever you got to mono. Mine is done like that because I've literally set up a hotkey. And now Lord will play right there. Positioning. Now I have the gains on each of these set to 0 or near 0. Because once I had them set up at a known fixed distance, where I knew it should be even, then I was getting up with the screwdriver and just tweaking one side or the other, trying to get in mono just there. I want her to be singing from there, Lord. And once it's set up, and I just, like I just did, I moved it, the next time you don't have to go back and adjust the thing. It's all distance. Getting a speaker to sound perfect on a desk is a lot of pain in the ass distance messing with it. I'm not talking about like 2 inches further back. I'm talking about 1/8 of an inch. If you have it set to mono, like I currently do, and you put on Lord, who's singing, and there's very, very distinctive, all that, it's right in front of me. If it was here just a second ago, which means if it's not centered, if it's to the left, that means that speaker's too powerful in this mix. Just move it back. I'm talking about 1/8 of an inch. 1/4 inch might swing the whole thing there. This is what it takes to hear correct, absolutely mind-bogglingly flat, responsive, insane speakers perfectly. You have to now just get one of those halos from like when you're in a car accident, screw it in your head, and sit right here. Do not be like this, like putting your foot up. Yeah, I'm mixing music now. Yo, I'm like a producer and stuff. No, for the love of fucking God, sit here. Respect what the hell the sound waves are doing. This is where you need to be. So let's get back to how they sound, because you know how they're built. They're built 41 pounds. All right, that's metal or polymer. That might be a polymer guard. Rubber surround. It's got this really ugly dust cap that looks like it's made of like an old piece of roofing tar that they just put on there. It doesn't matter. You're not buying them for the... Oh, you can buy them for the looks. Most of this other stuff looks crazy. Darth Vader levels. But, you know, you're here because when you hit play... I feel cocooned. Sitting in the right spot, angling these correctly, adjusted, bass roll-offs, and actually I took the bass, the treble cut off of that side. So now I gotta take it off of this side. It's still mono. Is it still good in mono? Yes. I'm being presented with so much sound, but it's not loud. I'm sitting here basically with two 8-gauge shotguns pointed right at my head. I could be killed at any moment. And with all this power, you should be like, well, Zeos, why aren't you just nailing it and just headbanging away? And it's because that's not what these are designed for. The Yamaha HS8s, God bless their souls, I love them. But those are party speakers compared to these. These are suit and tie, pen protector in your pocket, show up for work, fucking destroy it, and go home and bang their hot wife speakers. This, I'm going to try to describe. I'm going to keep playing, by the way, Full Metal Alchemist soundtrack, which is, look at the recording levels on it. It's so delicate.
It's going down. He's back home and he's ready to stunt everybody.
It's the sound effects of that, and that was what from the STN, MTN, whatever remix, is just right through my brain, and then out into this field. This is VR headset levels of shit going on here. And I've always said, you know, this got great imaging. I could hear things across. But this feels bigger than that. And it's probably because there's, like, I don't know, an 8-inch driver here with a giant AMT, you know, bigger than 2 of my thumbs, with enough power behind it that there's no concern about speed. See, here's one of the things about power. Power equals loud. Yes. Power also equals control. That's why the giant SVS subwoofer in there can perform as well or better than a servo sub. A servo sub, I'll remind you all, I'm getting a little off topic, but servo sub can measure where the driver is and then apply more or less power to get it there more accurately. But the SVS conquers that by having so much unfucking forgivable power, 1500 RMS, 5000 peak, that when it says, hey driver, go out, it's just there, defying almost all of physics, and then it's in and out. And having 200 watts per individual driver on this, 800 watts total, just means that even when it's playing quietly, it's so accurate. It's just forcing it back and forth. It's like One Punch Man controlling it. You know, I need you to be here and here and here and here, and it just is. So even if it's not blastingly loud, or blaring. I was blaring and blasting in one word. Even if that's blasteringly loud, it's fast. They're fast. They're some of the fastest 8-inch speakers I've ever heard. Period.
Okay, Stimpy, it's time for your evolving lessons. Oh, rapture!
The Echo, by the way, the Ren and Stimpy OST, the You Idiot. Go find that somewhere. I'm not sure if it's on Spotify or Tidal, or if you have to go and rummage through a dumpster. The recording quality on it is exceptional. I test headphones with it, but I don't say that very often. So I think that these are absolutely an end game for anyone who's going to do mixing or just wants to know, hey, what's, absolute diamond edge neutrality sound like? Just speed and grace, and it's this much sound. Where most speakers I put on, and it's sound, the sound of a speaker. These are this high. They remind me a lot of the Studio 530s, only just far more intense and more accurate. So you're paying $900 each for a reason. Oh, another thing. If I put this song on with that low end, and the low end is very accurate here. If I walk into my living room, I have to run back into this room to shut it off because it's producing low end as if it's an 8-inch with a giant port and 200 watts. But I don't need to have bass traps in here. Like, it doesn't sound boomy. This space is actually pretty good. I'm very far from that wall. I'm far enough from that wall. There's a corner there. But these speakers almost take the room away. I'm so close to them now. I'm arm's length away from them with this perfect array in front of me of just sound that goes up and down, and everything sounds even. There's no bright spots. There's no lulls. But if I walk out away from this room, someone in the living room would think that I am just destroying it in here with that song. Shit feels like it's vibrating. So you are basically cocooning yourself into your own little baby. I'm not saying you shouldn't put up wall treatments. It's just I happen to be like middle of a room because I've got tables and shit around me. But if I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Echo. Got to get some Doors in your life, by the way, too, because the Doors back in the 60s, did they make it to the 70s? Back in the 60s, early 70s? 60s? The Doors. They loved to just take the balance slider on there when they were doing their final production runs on speakers that were, I guarantee, not as good as this, and just say, yeah, the piano? Make it all the way right channel. And you know what? That makes us all the way left channel. And Jim Morrison would either sing from the middle or sing from there. It's a trippy experience when you've got it all set up distance-wise, and you could actually, like, if I put it in mono, if I put the Doors in mono, that's so weird. This is how normal music usually sounds. A lot of center focus on instruments and vocals. The Doors are just like, no. This is a weird. If you could get a sound like this out of VR headsets, I'd invest as much as you want. How much you want? I want it. I'm not even. See, I've got this at 50 on low power. I could kill myself if I wanted to blow my brains out. I wouldn't have to get a gun. Just turn these all the way up, +6 in the back. Just slowly raise this until my eyeballs melt. But you don't need to. These are some of the biggest, most powerful speakers that I've ever reviewed, and I have no urge to kill myself with them. I just want to listen to every little nuance and detail in the music, because this is, like I said, the last. This is what everyone else heard before they okayed this. I hope. Oh, and by the way, when you listen to shit music, and I mean music that's over-recorded and just sounds like ass, you'll know, if you have a good set of speakers, you're going to go, what is that producer smoking? Because he should smoke so much of it, he dies. My feelings on the loudness war and shitty producers. It's a weird feel. It's like close your eyes and just reach out and try to touch these sounds that are happening. So yeah, I'm gonna have the owner's gonna stop by. He obviously, these weren't shipped to me. He's local-ish. He drove to hand them out to me. I actually lent him my Emotiva 6s in the interim. So I'm gonna get those back, and I know for a fact I'm gonna want those up on the stands in my living room more than I wanted these up on the stands in my living room. And I'm gonna tell the owner, look, set them up like this, just for a little while. I know he's using them in his living room. He's only got about 7 feet apart. I've got 9 to 10 feet apart. So it might be different in his room and the way it's worked out, but these are undoubtedly the best things I've heard for, I'm going to say enjoyment, but if you're serious, if you're doing serious work, you know, LSR 305s, they're cute. These make LSR 305s, oh, they're cute. They're cute. Go back home, child. Play with your LSR 305s, because these are where the real shit. This is where the real shit line now is. It's it's 82 pounds a pair, and you know, $1,800. So it's these, or my loving closed Ether Cs. You'd honestly need both, and then you could start mixing music like a pro. At least you'll know. You'll have a bass line, because this is amazing. All right, I'll link to these. They're only available on their site, even though Emotiva seems to have put almost everything else on Amazon. This, if you want to know what it is the Audio God. It'll tell me when I turn it on. It's like the NFB11 amp, so it's not the NFB. It's, I don't know. We'll get to it. I will link to this screwdriver, or some facsimile of it. I can't find these American-made professional Sears Craftsman ones anymore. I love them so much. I can only find cheap rip-off ones. But I'll find a good set, link that. And then download of the wallpaper. And if you want to support videos like this crazy shit, Patreon link is the upper right. And I'm going to sit here now and listen to a couple more tracks because they need to be listened to. Chris Cornell. We're going to go out. This is my first review I've filmed since Chris Cornell passed. And he went out like he lived. I don't know how he lived. He lived not knowing like what day it was. He mentions it in one of these songs.
I would still be loving you.
Worth the money.
If mountains crumble to the sea.